The draft resolution has been adopted.
The United Nations Security Council backed a plan on Monday for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip. It's the plan U.S. President Joe Biden outlined on May 31st, aimed at ending the 8-month-long war. Monday's resolution welcomes that proposal, says Israel has accepted the deal, and calls on Hamas to agree to it.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution please raise their hand?
14 Security Council members voted in favor.
Abstentions?
Russia abstained. Its ambassador asked what Israel had specifically agreed to. Hamas welcomed the adoption of the U.S.-drafted resolution. In a statement, the militant group said it's ready to cooperate with mediators over implementing the plan's principles.
It's time for this war to end.
The resolution supports a 3-phase ceasefire plan laid out by Biden, which he described as an Israeli initiative. Negotiators from the U.S., Egypt, and Qatar have been trying to hash out a ceasefire for months. Hamas says it wants a permanent end to the war in Gaza, an Israeli withdrawal from the enclave of 2.3 million people. Israel is retaliating against Hamas, which rules Gaza, over the October 7th attack by its militants. More than 1,200 people were killed and over 250 taken hostage, according to Israeli tallies. More than 37,000 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli assault, according to Gaza health authorities.
If you want a ceasefire, press Hamas to say yes.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Monday shuttled between Cairo and Jerusalem, pushing a proposed truce in Gaza. Blinken first met with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Afterward, he told reporters that the greatest obstacle in reaching a ceasefire was that Hamas had yet to accept the terms of a deal outlined by U.S. President Joe Biden last month.
The only party that's not said yes is Hamas. That's who everyone's waiting on. That's who the Palestinians in Gaza are waiting on. It's who the Israelis are waiting on. It's who the hostages and the hostage families are waiting on.
Blinken then flew to Israel, where he met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In a statement, Netanyahu said his country remained committed to total victory. A Hamas official told Reuters on Monday that Blinken's comments were biased toward Israel. The war has now entered its 9th month since Hamas-led fighters killed 1,200 people and took some 250 others hostage in a rampage through southern Israel. In response, Israel launched an assault on the Gaza Strip that has killed more than 37,000 Palestinians and reduced most of the enclave to wasteland. Israel's military on Monday released video it said showed scenes from a weekend operation that resulted in the rescue of 4 hostages kidnapped on October 7th and recovered from the Nuseirat refugee camp in the center of the Gaza Strip. Palestinian officials said the operation, which involved airstrikes and ground troops, killed 274 people, making it one of the deadliest assaults of the war. Anas Alyan picked through the ruins of his home.
This is our house. We were safely sitting in it, and suddenly several consecutive explosions happened. We did not know what was happening. I was sitting upstairs in my apartment. I went down to my parents' floor and found all my relatives thrown out because of the Jewish soldiers. They were firing at us with mortar rockets at the living room. All my relatives were wounded. There was a lot of gunfire. F-16, quadcopters, drones. It was horrible. Soldiers in this area were all firing.
Israeli forces said they were aware of under 100 Palestinians killed and did not know how many were combatants. Hamas's military wing released this video on Sunday, purporting to show its fighters battling Israeli tanks in the streets of Rafah in southern Gaza. Israeli forces began an operation in the city last month, despite White House pressure to hold off. Around half of the Gaza Strip's 2.3 million people had been sheltering in Rafah before last month's assault, and 1 million have had to flee again.
since the conflict between Palestinian militant group amongst the destroyed buildings in Gaza City. Israeli airstrikes have killed more than 33,000, escaped the relentless bombardment.
מהבוקר מדינת ישראל נמצאת במלחמה.